Welcome to this explainer. The 2020 Sacco Society's regulations can sometimes feel like reading a dense, intimidating legal novel. But today, we're going to translate all that heavy text into a clear, highly actionable compliance roadmap. If you're involved in running, managing, or overseeing a non-deposit-taking Sacco, getting a firm grip on these rules isn't just about dodging penalties. It's really about building an unshakable foundation of trust with your members. Okay, let's just dive right into it by tackling two massive misconceptions about member funds right out of the gate. Picture this. A member walks into your office today and asks to use their shares to secure a loan. Or maybe they're leaving the Sacco entirely and they ask for a refund on those shares. What do you say? If you hesitated even for a split second, you are exactly in the right place, because the regulations are incredibly strict on these exact scenarios. To keep us totally safe and compliant, we're going to track the entire life cycle of a member's funds through 4 key stages. 1. The rules of shares. 2. Managing non-withdrawable deposits. 3. Dividends and disclosures. And 4. Exits, refunds, and dormancy.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the rules of shares.
To get their entry ticket into your Sacco, a member has to buy shares at a prescribed minimum and par value. And actually, you can't increase those minimums without the authority's green light. This brings us to what I call the 2 buckets rule. You literally have to separate member funds in your mind and, more importantly, in your books. Bucket number 1 is shares. The law says a member absolutely cannot pledge shares as loan collateral, and they are strictly non-refundable. Then we have bucket number 2, deposits. These can be used as collateral, and they are refundable when a member leaves. Mixing these 2 buckets up, that is a direct regulatory violation. Now, the authority actually demands a staggering level of detail for your head office share register. It is definitely not enough to just jot down a name and a dollar amount. You need their gender, their unique member number, exact date of birth, physical and email addresses, and crucially, don't forget this, the names and addresses of their next of kin. It's basically a complete identity profile that acts as the backbone of your entire compliance setup. Here is a critical number to remember. 30. The moment a member pays for their subscribed shares, a regulatory clock starts ticking. You've got exactly 30 days, no more, from that payment to issue a formal, compliant share certificate to that member. And no, you can't just hand them a generic receipt and call it a day. Every single share certificate must include 9 specific elements to be considered compliant. We're talking the Sacco's full name and registered locations, the member's unique number, the exact number of shares, your official Sacco seal, and an authorized signature. And absolutely critical for your auditors, every single certificate needs an issue date and a completely unique serial number. Wrapping up our rules on shares, I want to hammer home that absolute boundary we mentioned earlier. When a member decides to leave and demands their share money back, the law steps in and says, no way. A Sacco shall not refund shares. The only legal option is for that exiting member to transfer their shares to another existing member. That's the only path forward.
All right, moving right along to Section 2, managing non-withdrawable deposits.
This is where we look at the active working fund. This is where the day-to-day financial relationship between the member and the Sacco really lives and breathes. First off, contributions are not optional. Members have to chip in monthly or at fixed periods set by the Sacco. Second, unlike shares, members actually can use these deposits as collateral against borrowings, depending on your internal bylaws. Third, these funds must earn interest based on market forces or your internal funding needs. And lastly, oversight. The authority can pop in and demand to inspect these non-withdrawable accounts at literally any time.
Which brings us to the absolute legal wall standing between our 2 buckets, the deposit conversion ban. You cannot, under any circumstances, take money from a member's non-withdrawable deposit account and convert it into share capital. You also can't let them withdraw those deposits just to pay for shares. Those 2 streams of money have to stay completely legally distinct. Let's transition over to Section 3, dividends and disclosures. So as those separated funds start securely piling up, we look at growth and returns. Everybody loves dividends, right? But a Sacco can't just declare them on a whim. The law has a super strict sequential checklist. Step 1, you must actually realize an excess of income over expenditure, a net surplus. Step 2, before handing out a single cent to members, you have to transfer all required funds to your reserves at the end of the financial year. And step 3, you must fully meet capital adequacy requirements, meaning you've got enough financial reserves to safely cover your risks.
Only after checking all 3 boxes can you pay out dividends on shares.
On top of managing financial growth, Saccos carry a really heavy legally mandated burden when it comes to transparency. You're required to submit returns on non-withdrawable deposits to the authority at least once every single quarter. Internally, you have to maintain individual accounts that track every single share and deposit transaction. You're also obligated to accurately disclose all operating terms, no fuzzy math or misleading info allowed. Oh, and interestingly, the law formally allows Saccos to set up electronic systems so members can easily check their statements online.
And finally, Section 4, exits, refunds, and dormancy.
This is the end of the member life cycle, and honestly, it's where a lot of compliance issues tend to spike because, well, breakups are complicated. When a member wants to leave and get their deposits back, remember, deposits are refundable, shares aren't. They have to follow a strict process. First, they must fully repay all debts owed to the Sacco and clear any outstanding guarantees where their deposits were used as security. Only once they're completely clear can they submit a written notice to withdraw. Then, and only then, does the Sacco issue the refund.
And here is another critical number you need to etch into your processes. 60. Once you receive that formal written withdrawal notice, assuming all debts and guarantees are handled, you have exactly 60 days to refund their accumulated non-withdrawable deposits.
But what happens if a member doesn't formally write to you? What if they just vanish, stop communicating, and completely stop transacting? Well, that scenario triggers our next massive regulatory number, 12 months.
The regulations are super explicit here. If an account goes at least 12 months with 0 transactions and there's no justifiable reason for the silence, the Sacco is legally bound to declare that non-withdrawable account as dormant. And when that happens, you can't just leave that money sloshing around with your active funds. You have to immediately pull it out and maintain a completely separate accounting record.
So if that member never comes back, those funds do not just magically become free money for the Sacco. The regulations clearly dictate that any unclaimed non-withdrawable deposits have to be handled strictly under the Unclaimed Financial Assets Act of 2011. It's a legal system designed to make sure member funds stay protected, even if the member has been gone for years.
From the second a member buys their very first share, all the way to the strict 60-day deadline for a deposit refund, every single step is highly regulated. For specialized consulting on these matters, and to see how this roadmap fits your organization, please reach out directly at 010-719089. So, I'll leave you with this final thought to take back to your team. Are your Sacco's buckets truly separated and secure? Or are you currently operating with hidden compliance leaks that could end up costing you everything?